This happened to me recently. I was staying at my boyfriend's house for the first time. I was so excited to stay the night there. And it would be our first time alone together without any of his family around. The day was going well, and we were having fun until about 10 p.m. That's when things got weird. So, as the night went on, we started getting cozy on the couch watching TV. But then, I needed to use the restroom. As I was walking down the hallway to the bathroom, I noticed that one of the spare bedrooms had its door open. We'd never left any other doors open before, and it kind of freaked me out. So I shut the door and continued on my way to the bathroom. A few minutes later, after I washed my hands, I came back out and saw that the same door that was previously closed was now once again open. Now, I'm not usually a jumpy person, but this is starting to freak me out a little. And I told my boyfriend, "Hey, babe, do you have a key to this room?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Oh, it's just that I went to use the restroom, and I noticed that the door to that room was open, and then I came back out, and it's open again." He laughed and said, "It's probably the wind. It does that sometimes." So, I just shrugged and figured maybe he was right. Then a few minutes later, I went into the kitchen to get a drink, and as I was filling up my glass of water, I heard what sounded like footsteps in the room right next to us. I could hear what sounded like heavy footsteps pacing back and forth. Now, it is important to note that the only people who have ever stayed in this house are my boyfriend and his two brothers. And his brothers don't even live here anymore. They're both off at college. So it should have been just my boyfriend and I in the house. I told my boyfriend what I just heard, and he said, it's just your imagination. It's probably just the pipes. So I just drank my water and we went back to watching TV. Then about 15 minutes later, I went to use the restroom again. As I walked past the room with the open door, I turned to look at it, and that's when I saw it. Sitting on the edge of the bed was an old rocking chair that had been in the corner of the room the last time I'd looked in there. But now it was sitting right in the middle of the bed with its back towards me. This wasn't some old antique rocking chair that made a creaking noise when you moved it. This was a plastic lawn chair that makes no noise whatsoever. I, of course, told my boyfriend, "Hey, babe, come look at this." He came back with me and he was confused because he swore that he did unmove the chair. But then he told me to go check the security cameras because he had set them up throughout the house to catch any potential intruders, but every single camera was completely dead. They hadn't been recording for some reason. We ended up deciding to just forget about it and went back to watching TV. Then about 10 minutes later, I got a notification on my phone that read, "Motion detected. He's inside." I looked at my boyfriend in confusion, but he just shook his head as if to say, "I have no idea what you're talking about." So I decided to just ignore it. Maybe it was a glitch or something. But then, 5 minutes later, I got another notification that read, "He's inside. He's inside. He's inside. He's inside." And then another one came through that said, "Motion detected. He's inside." I handed the phone to my boyfriend and asked him to look at it because I was getting really scared at this point. His face immediately paled when he saw the notification. He quickly grabbed my phone and tried to swipe through the app, but it wouldn't let him. He could only see the live feed from the front doorbell camera, which showed nothing, and none of the other cameras were working either. He tried to call his brother, but his brother didn't pick up. So he tried calling his other brother instead. His brother picked up and he said, "Hey, bro, you wouldn't happen to have the password to the Wi-Fi, would you?" For some reason, all the cameras are acting up and I go and change the password to the Wi-Fi. Through the app, for some reason, his brother gave him the Wi-Fi password and he thanked him and hung up. While he was on the phone with his brother, I was frantically searching for the light switch in the room we were in so I could turn on the lights because I was petrified. As soon as he hung up the phone, I flicked on the light switch, and right as the light bulb turned on, I saw what looked like a dark, shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. It looked almost exactly like the emoji for the Grim Reaper. He, of course, saw it too and immediately started screaming at the top of his lungs. I don't know if it was the shock of seeing a ghost or what, But suddenly all of the cameras began to show a live feed again. We immediately ran out of the room and into the kitchen and dialed 911. When the police arrived, they scanned the house with some kind of device to see if they could detect any ghosts or spirits, but they said that they couldn't detect anything. One of the officers also mentioned that nobody else had called the cops to complain about a break-in that night. After everything was said and done, my boyfriend and I decided to just sleep in his truck for the rest of the night. Neither of us wanted to go back inside the house. But then in the morning, after of course, not sleeping at all, we went back inside to clean up. As we were walking through the house, we noticed that everything had been neatly organized and cleaned. My boyfriend swears that he heard footsteps in the house that night and that the police must have somehow missed it. What do you think?